Bruce Willis and Timothy V. Murphy in an action drama? Yes, please. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch or Pass. I'm here to talk to you about American Siege, which is a movie that came out January 7th, 2022. I wasn't able to watch it until recently, so the review's now. It's already out. It's out in theaters, and you can rent it. You can rent it digitally, and I know you can get it at Redbox. So there's all sorts of ways to see it. It's a new film that has Bruce Willis, Timothy V. Murphy, and Rob Gough, and it's directed by Edward Drake. Now, my hot take on this movie is I actually didn't like it. There were some things I really liked about the movie, but overall the story was pretty slow and the conclusion just didn't feel that satisfying. The movie itself, it's called American Siege. The movie is about a siege, so there's not a ton of interesting stuff that happens. I want a little more action, but we'll go into that soon. I'm going to talk to you about the movie, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like. There will be some spoilers, although not a ton. I'm not going to do a ton of spoilers in this review, but you'll get a general sense of the things I liked about this movie. The film kind of follows this group of three individuals who take over this cabin, this house out in the Georgia wilderness, and there is much more going on here than you would normally expect. I mean, the house itself is unremarkable, but inside there is this really strong safe, and there is a sense that they have to get through that. I don't know. You don't really know why until later in the movie, but there's a feeling they have to get through that door, and they will do pretty much anything to get it. Now, the problem is this house is owned by a kind of the person that kind of runs the town. He's not a cop. He's a rich business person named Charles, and he is not someone you want to mess with in this town. And so when the siege happens, the cops come out, and then eventually Charles sends his own people out to try to stop this siege. And as you can imagine, his people are a little bit more brutal than the cops. And there were some things I did really like about this movie. Like, for example, but through it all, you've got these three individuals who they seem to have an agenda. They seem to have something they want from this house, and they're not afraid to go to extremes to get there. First thing I really liked is there's kind of an old school feel to this movie. It has like some film grain. It has some like older style effects. It really and some old music as well. And it really does feel like a film that's set a little bit in the past. I mean, it's a modern film, so I think the classic view is just kind of a way to evoke, I don't know, the country setting, or maybe older classic type of siege, like Western type siege movies. But it is a very unique style, and I liked it at the start. It kind of helped to differentiate this from other movies. The second thing I really liked is the music. The music is really good. It kind of helps to move the story along. It helps to set the tone. Like I said, the music is also a little older feeling, so it does give you that kind of old school feel at the start, but it also really helps when the drama ratchets up. The music does as well. And the last thing I really like is some of the banter between the core group of characters. Like the three characters, they have a history. Two of them are siblings, and then they're all really good friends. So especially at the start when they first kind of meet up, there's some funny conversation between them. There's some funny kind of asides that I really liked. It kind of helped to lighten the mood at the start of this semi-serious movie, and to help kind of bring their relationship to the front. Now, things I didn't really like, the first and kind of most glaring in my mind is the effects. This is an indie film, so the effects can be hit or miss, but in this movie there are some effects that do feel very missed. Like, for example, there is a skeet shooting scene that is pretty clearly CG. I mean, and which is weird because it seems like other parts of the film have more practical effects. The skeet shooting scene does appear to be CG, so I thought that was weird. It kind of stood out, and it was something that, I don't know, I thought that they could have done naturally. I'm sure that the cast would have loved to kind of skeet shoot during this scene. There were also some things that looked a little, I guess, handmade. Like they kind of stood out. And the most glaring one to me was the safe room door. The safe room door is supposed to be this kind of like impenetrable door, and you can tell that it is a door that was painted silver. They added a few things. You can see like a pipe on there as like a handle, and there's like a spinning dial that does look very kind of thrown together, especially like the dial moves at some points when it's bumped, so it doesn't feel like a safe. And then when they finally do, spoilers here, when they finally do open the safe, you can see it is just a door. So that kind of stuff really distracted me. Like every time I saw the safe and they were trying to like break in, it really felt odd. There's a drone scene later on that it is a drone, but it kind of doesn't feel like a cop drone, like some sort of like advanced drone. It feels like a drone that a person could buy at a local store and use. And there were things like that throughout. There was effects that kind of took me out of this environment took me out of the story and were distracting. Now, effects are one of like my big pet peeves, so maybe other people aren't going to be as distracted, but for me, it was very distracting. And some of the firefights had CG effects to make the firefights happen. They weren't all bad. I mean, there was some pretty good sound and there were some practical effects in the firefights, but there was a lot of CG involved in this film. The second thing I did not love is, I guess, the siege part of it. The movie's called American Siege, but the cover has like Tim Murphy with a shotgun and Bruce Willis. I expected a little bit more action, and there's some action towards the end, but the bulk of this movie is a siege, and so you're not going to have a ton happening. There's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of kind of drama. There's some figuring out as these characters kind of explain why they're here. But I was expecting more action throughout for a movie that has the called American Siege and has the cover. And really, there is not a ton of action. There's some action at the very end and some action at the start. And the middle is a very kind of slow progression in a siege. Look, I guess it's accurate to the title, but it just didn't really keep my attention throughout the film. And the last thing I did not really love is the overall conclusion. It felt a little too convenient. It felt like everything started to work out. Like, people came around to these people, even though there wasn't a ton of reason for them to. And everything kind of worked out a little bit too conveniently in the end. Now, it's not a bad ending, but it did feel like I said, like a little too convenient. It felt like it was a quick way to end this movie. There are some really beautiful scenes during the ending. Like, there's one scene where someone is kind of running and they run through this field of really beautiful flowers. And you have this really great view of it. And I thought that was one of the best scenes in the film, one of the best shots in the film. And so it's really good that it comes at the end, but to me, the journey didn't kind of justify that. And at that point, I kind of checked out from the characters. So, look, that's just my opinion. I didn't love this movie, but maybe you'll like it. Maybe there's something here you'll like. It's got a really good cast. I like Bruce Willis. I like Timothy Murphy, although I don't think that they were used as well as they have been in other Ed Drake movies. Like Timothy Murphy in Broil, that's one of my favorite characters I've ever seen. Like, he did a great job. And this one, he's a little bit more muted. His character is more muted, but he doesn't really get a chance to stretch his acting chops. So that is American Siege. It is available in theaters, digitally, and on demand now. You can check it out. You can go see it at Redbox. You can check it out. You can rent it from home. You can go see it in theaters. And thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. And please check out my other content. I've got other movie reviews, interviews, unboxing videos, and recommendations. Thank you.